part of our startup program. Today we have Sara with us, and Sara is product discovery lead at d.labs, and she's also one of our newest members of our Miro expert directory. She knows everything about startup methodologies and is here to help you today. And she created a really beautiful template that is available for every Miro user, and that's what we're going to use today as well. And the templates that Sara makes with d.labs are among the most popular ones at Miro. So we see that they have the most traction. So I'm really happy to do this event with her. And I would like to give the word to Sara. So thank you, Sara.
Thank you, Yair, for that wonderful introduction. So I'm not gonna waste any more time introducing myself. I just want to invite you to connect with me via LinkedIn. I'm really happy to like follow people from the same ecosystem, the startup ecosystem, and I also like to share a lot of content from our day-to-day life and our sort of frameworks and methodologies. So please do connect with me on LinkedIn. And like Yair said, we have a bunch of stuff on Miroverse already. I actually added a link to our kind of Miro page, so you'll find all the links over there for the templates, for Miro experts, and everything Miro related. So feel free to visit the site and download the templates and use them. And I just wanted to do a quick introduction of who d.labs is, so you get a hang of what we're doing. So d.labs is a tech venturing company. We work with early stage founders, and we kind of provide them with product teams, essentially. We call ourselves digital product generalists, and we're used to working with entrepreneurial teams by kind of providing them with high impact product development. We're from Ljubljana, Slovenia, like I mentioned earlier, but our headquarters is kind of in London. So we have history of working with startups, mostly from the UK. We worked with over 50 ventures already, and in the last 10 years, 6 of them exited and 3 became unicorns. So we're kind of proud of that. But other than that, we kind of cover the whole startup life cycle. We provide services at every stage. So starting with discovery, validation, then like efficiency in when the startup matures, and then tech scaling. So basically this means product management, product development, design, QA, DevOps, you know the drill. So I just wanted to invite you that if you're an idea stage or seed stage founder or a product lead, just come talk to us. We're happy to give any guidance or feedback, or just chat about anything. I'm sorry. About anything startup related, business models, growth, fundraising, product development, anything. So you can reach out to us via our website or on social media. So feel free to chat. Now, just a quick overview of what I'll be talking about today. I'm going to explain the concept of the minimum viable brand first, so you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say MVB. Then I'm gonna just outline a use case or a story for today, because there's so many of you that we cannot really work on 111, 12, let's say, brand concepts. So I kind of made up a story that we're gonna use to kind of demonstrate the process of creating a minimum viable brand. Then we're gonna actually go through the workshop as if we were doing it on our own brand. So you'll get to know all the steps in the process, and like be equipped and empowered to do it with your own team or by yourself. And in the end, we'll do a Q&A session. But I really want to invite you to paste questions during the workshop. So here, you'll see this frame Q&A. You can click on the link here, and you can just write your questions whenever something pops up. So like question, something. And we'll take some time in the end to sort of answer all your questions. And if we run out of time, I'll make sure I write the answers afterwards, because you'll have access to the board anyway. Cool. So why don't we kick off? So starting with MVP, I just want to like set the frame a bit and the context. So when we work with early stage ventures, for them, usually investing in brand strategy is not really the top of their list. So they see branding as really having investment of time, money, and energy. So the founders often, like at a really early stage, don't even know what their brand stands for already. So they kind of procrastinate with branding, or they just don't feel it's all that important. They focus on product development or marketing, but branding is definitely not on top of the list, at least in most cases. But branding, I think we can all agree, is kind of essential to the growth and the success of any business, but even more so for startups. So it's really important to do at least like a simple direction setting in the beginning already, because it is a make or break consideration when it comes to going to the market. So this concept of a minimum viable brand kind of extends the agile methodology to developing your brand. So the beauty of it is that it engages and kind of communicates with your audience without really complicating things, without spending months on branding, and kind of allowing you to maintain the agility you need and the low costs, of course, because startups, if they're lacking something, it's usually time and money. All right. I'm just gonna close this so you see the slide a bit bigger. Cool. So the general perception is that the brand is the logo, or the brand is the visual identity. But I think many of you know that the brand is so much more than that. So the brand, I think, is more like a feeling that we live with our customers. It's the experience with every interaction that customers have with our brand, at every touch point that they have with our brand. So in its simplest form, the minimum viable brand kind of relies on the brand's core components, which are needed to produce so-called authentic brand or authentic brand strategy. So these core components are usually the value proposition, the purpose of the brand, and the personality of the brand. Just to make it a bit more tangible, so you start building your brand 1.0. This is called the minimum viable brand. You usually launch it on the market, and then the process doesn't stop. So it's not the end of your brand development. Just like releasing your first MVP that you're probably a bit ashamed of, or you should be a bit ashamed of, is not the end of your product development journey. So the MVP is kind of like a hypothesis about your brand strategy that you go out and validate on the market then, and you evolve it over time based on how customers respond to it. But it's important that you're agile in this process, because it just helps you go to the next stage, whether this is an investment or acquiring your first, I don't know, 5 or 10 or 100 or 1,000 customers, whatever your target is. So just really briefly, so you can imagine what the process of creating such a brand or a minimum viable brand is. It doesn't take a lot of time. You need to do some prep work. Like the estimations here are based on my experience, so don't take them as something that's universally applicable. So you need to do some prep work. I'm gonna mention exactly what like the homework is before doing the workshop a bit later. Then you do the workshop itself. I time box it to 2 hours, and it's almost always enough if you're a really good facilitator and keeping discussions in line. Then this is followed by the stage of design and creating brand assets. So again, in our experience, this usually takes a week or 2. Again, it depends on the designer, and then you're kind of ready to launch. So what I'm going to be focusing on today in this workshop is like the first part, so the preparation and the workshop itself. But yeah, without further ado, I'm just gonna dive into the workshop and the framework itself. So it's designed as a kind of like a do-it-yourself guide for startups, and it's really simple to use. But once we're done with this workshop, I'm sure it will be a breeze for everyone who's here today. So what we want to achieve with this 2-hour workshop is to kind of get a consensus in the team around your brand identity. It's really useful to kind of start having structured conversations about the brand with your team or on your own. If you're a solo founder and you don't have a team yet, that's completely fine. It helps make like really implicit ideas that you may have in your head about your brand and your promise and your values a bit more explicit. And I think like most importantly, it serves as a brief for the creative team, for the design team, so they can go prepare all the brand assets that they need and that you need to start communicating with your customers. So how to prepare for the workshop? Like I mentioned, there's some homework that needs to be done if you want to make it work in 2 hours and if you want to make it effective for everyone who's participating. So what I advise to do is always just try to really define the problem really well, because this is kind of the core of what we're doing with our product. So we're solving problems for our customers. Another important step is to define your persona, or I like to call them prototype personas, because at this stage they're based on assumptions. So it's not based on actual customer insights, because you don't have like an audience yet or a customer base yet. Then if you've done some interviews with your prospective customers, it's cool to include some quotes from that research in the workshop itself. And there's an exercise that you can do to brainstorm on the name if you don't have a name yet for your product or service. It's good to have some competition analysis done before, so you know who your competitors are and how you're going to differentiate yourselves. And it's okay. I mean, it's really useful if you've done some thinking when it comes to the value proposition and positioning statement. So there are 2 ways to do this workshop. Like I mentioned, if you're a solo founder and you don't have a team yet, you can use it like as a manual and fill it out yourself. That's completely fine. But if you have a team already, you can do it like as a collaborative workshop. Like I would advise that you get a facilitator that's kind of familiar with the framework and that can guide you through the process. The founder, of course, needs to be there because they're the provider of all the insights and that to know and live the brand, and the designer. So it's really good if the designer is already at the workshop to get the information firsthand. Okay. So now, like I mentioned, I'm going to use this sort of use case throughout the whole workshop today. So I want you to meet Amy. So who is Amy? Amy is our fictional founder. And like I said, I'll be using her startup as an example throughout the workshop to kind of demonstrate the whole branding process as if we were doing it on your case or a real case, but it's completely made up. So Amy decided to take a leap, and she developed her idea about a different kind of dating app into a product. And this was her first venture. She quit her job. She went all in with this. So what happened with Amy? Amy did everything by the book. She designed the business model first. She did like market analysis, sized the market, talked to her customers. She already developed an MVP concept that was tailored to the needs of her customers. And she found an angel investor and hired a team and actually built the MVP. She's really at the finish line already. So launch day is approaching, and Amy knows that she's missing a piece of the puzzle. So if she wants to get people to love her product, she needs a brand, and she's procrastinated long enough. So she decides to give MVP, or minimum viable brand, a try. So she gathers the team, her co-founder, brand designer, and her friend Dean, who's going to facilitate the workshop. And we are in the workshop now. So now let's imagine we are like an extension of like Amy's team together with her co-founder, designer, and the facilitator. and we're going to go through the workshop itself. So this part, audience, is part of the homework that I mentioned. So you usually fill this out before the workshop and just go through it with your team and just reaffirm all the concepts and ideas to make sure we're all on the same page. So we usually start with a prototype persona, proto persona, and just try to describe like a typical user or basically the early adopter of your product. So who's gonna love your product the most? So here's an example. You usually like visualize them and just describe their demographics. In this case, it's like a 28 to 35-year-old woman. She's graduated from university, has a leadership job, bachelor's degree, lives in the city. Then you try to describe their behaviors. For example, she's really busy. She works long hours. She's on social media, bit of an introvert, has a cat named Tito, rents a flat, and really does not go on many dates because still we're talking about a dating app. What she needs, what her goals are. She wants to really engage in meaningful relationships. She needs time alone, but she also likes to socialize and spend her time on things she enjoys. So this is our person, our persona, our early adopter. Then you want to include some insights from customer interviews. So Amy did a bunch of these conversations already, and like here are some insights. So for example, the people she talked to said that after a long day of work, the last thing I want to do is swipe left all night and have yet another one of those tedious "how are you" conversations. Another one said, I'd just rather go see my friends than go on yet another mismatched date. Another said that like dating apps are really discriminatory. It seems that they only show you the hottest people just to keep you swiping. So these are like really valuable quotes that you can use to kind of get your team to empathize with the users as well, or the customers. And it really helps to kind of frame the value proposition as well. So again, I did my homework here already. So you want to kick off the workshop with a really strong value proposition. So I used two examples. These are just different frameworks, but the value proposition is kind of the same. So in the first one, I used this venture hacks high pitch concept, which is like this for this. So in this case, it's like lean startup for dating. So kind of this app encourages you to take a chance with as many potential partners as possible. You split test, you learn in the process, you fail fast and repeat, and until you find product market fit or like the love of your life. So this is one example how you can maybe verbalize your value proposition. Another example, which is a bit different, is like for busy millennial singles who are seeking meaningful romantic relationship. Our product is a dating app that helps you discover and engage with people who share similar lifestyles in a lean way, as opposed to conventional dating apps who only waste your time with an overload of poor matches. So this is just to give you an idea of how to frame your value proposition or positioning statement. There's a bunch of other formats, and I added a link here in the bottom of this frame where you'll find at least like 7 or 10 different ways to write your value prop. All right. So the next step of the workshop is selecting the brand name. Again, it requires a bit of prep work. And what you want to do before the workshop is to do a little brainstorming on possible names if you don't have a name yet. You try to think of keywords for your product, keywords from your industry, some emotions you may want to convey with your early adopters. And then you do a brainstorming. So here are a few examples or like tips from like brand naming that you can use. For example, is using the founder's name like Walt Disney, or something really descriptive like Internet Explorer, geographic names like Patagonia, something that rhymes like Firewire, made up words like Twitter. You can use derivative names like Nespresso, like Nescafe Espresso. Then we have hybrid names, FedEx, sorry, Nestle, not Nescafe. You can use acronyms or initials like KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, or like misspellings, Lyft. So when you do this and have like a bunch of ideas, you can also think of synonyms or maybe some foreign words, some Latin words, just to get a really wide pool of names. So what I've done here, I've added five names, possible brand names. But what I want you to do is just add some more, just get your creative juices flowing, and just use the sticky notes. I'm just gonna add a few, but you can copy them, and just add a few made up names so we can use them as part of our exercise. So let's just take a couple of seconds or a minute, and you can maybe use the examples here on the left to get some ideas, and then we're going to do a voting session afterwards. Happy match me rocket love. Okay, I'm just gonna try to fit them all here in the frame.
If you don't know how to make a new sticky, you can just press the letter N on your keyboard and you will be able to get a new one.
Okay, it's getting crowded. Okay, I think we can stop now. You can add your examples below, but I think otherwise we're gonna have a mess and we won't be able to vote. All right. So let me just fire up the voting session and just add all the stickies here in this frame. Okay, enough with ideation. All right, so I'm just gonna create a voting session for the stickies, and you will be able to choose three names, three favorite names from the list, and I'm just gonna give you 1 minute, so make sure you read them in advance. Okay, let's go. Is everybody seeing the voting? So you just click on the plus and you have 3 votes. I'm gonna do it as well.
On the right top side, you will see vote now.
Yeah. Tender, I love this one. Oh gosh, I love your ideas. Okay, a few more seconds for the vote. Okay, who's already shortlisting? All right, and we are done. Let's just wait for the results. All right. Ah, cool. So we have a winner, which is Tender. Let me find it. Tender. Here it goes. So this one goes into the shortlist. Then we have Match Me here. And we have a tie between Hartley and Something About Us. So let's put these two together. Hartley is, where's Hartley? Am I blind? Ah, okay, thank you. Awesome. Cool. Okay, so now we're just gonna do another vote, and now you have only 1 vote. So you have to choose between Tender, Match Me, Something About Us, and Hartley. Just a second. Here we go. And vote. So you should see the vote now thingy. my vote is not really anonymous because I'm sharing the screen. So how are we doing? I'm just gonna give you 5 more seconds and then I'm gonna end the vote because we don't have a lot to choose from. All right. Let's wait for the results. And hopefully we'll have a winner. All right, so the name of our app is Something About Us. And we just want to do like a quick check. I made a checklist here. So what's really important to consider when you're choosing a brand name? It needs to be unique in the category. I think this one definitely is. Reflects the product. Could be. It's brief, not really that brief. Can build a story around it, yeah, definitely. And high SEO potential, which I think is also good. So let's say we're missing that fungal vibes, yeah. So let's say we're all kind of agreed that this is our brand name. What we want to do like immediately is just go buy the domain before somebody snatches it. So cool, we're going to use this name throughout our workshop. I'm just going to copy it so I don't forget. Okay, so the next exercise that we're going to do and that we would do in such a workshop is to decide on the brand values. So here we're asking ourselves, what do we stand for as a brand? So what are our core values, or better yet, what are our kind of like points of view? What do we believe in, and what change do we want to see in the world? So I've listed a few brand values already, but again, let's give you a chance to add a few more. But please, let's not go wild. Let's just do maybe another row, and then that's it, because otherwise it will get messy. So I'm just going to give you a few minutes to read through all the values that are in this frame, and to add, let's say, how many is it, like 10 new ones? And then we're going to do another vote just to decide what values best represent our brand. So Something About Us.
And for people that had difficulties with voting, at the moment that Sara tells us that we should vote, there pops up a little plus on the right top side of your screen. If you click on that, you can start voting on the designated voting stickies. So yeah, when she says voting, you start to click on vote, and then you can start voting.
Okay. And we have a few new ones. So like in the template that you'll get from Miroverse, there's a bunch of these values. There's plenty more, I think like 50 or even more. So what I like to do is to kind of narrow down the selection a bit based on the category. So for example, for a dating app, you can remove like environmental from the list, or something that's really obvious that it's not one of our core values. So it makes the conversation a bit more focused. All right, so did you get a chance to read? I hope you got a chance to read through all the values, and we're gonna do another vote now. So brand values round 1, and just let me select the frame so we can vote on all the new ones as well. All right, and you have a minute, so go. Yeah, for those of you who don't know how to vote, you see like a vote now button, and then it kind of, oh, sorry, why are we the names? I think I triggered the wrong voting session. Just a second. I'm gonna do it again. Apologies. So we're voting on the values. All right, should be okay now. Yeah, so you click on the blue button and then you can select 5 by clicking on the sticky. Again, just a reminder, so our brand is something about us, and it's a lean startup for dating, if that helps kind of frame your thinking. All right, out of time. It says it was deleted. Just refresh maybe. Are you finding it easy to follow the voting? All right, so let me just jump back into the frame. I've never used Miro with so many people, so I apologize if it's a bit clunky.
Results are in the chat.
Yeah.
Respect
All
fun.
right.
Yeah, here it is. Yeah.
All right. So what we do here when we have our kind of like top list, we just copy over the values with the highest, with the most votes. So I'm just gonna take respect here and put it on this side, and then we have fun, which is here, and then we have relationships. Just zoom in a bit. So we have relationships and we have safety, and let's do inclusiveness as well, and passion. And we're gonna end it here. Passion. Why am I not seeing passion? All right. So we've kind of narrowed down our list of top values for our brand. And now we just we usually do it in a group, and we kind of discuss why each person chose this, or why, I don't know, respect represents our value proposition the best, and our brand, and why relationships. And then we usually do another vote. So we get to the top 3. So we get to the top 3 values. So I'm just gonna do another one. So we have our selection, and cool. And I'm just gonna ask you to vote again. Oh. So what you need to do is select the smaller frame, otherwise they can vote on everything on the board. All right. So now you should only see these 6 values, and just cast your vote. I'm gonna give you a break from voting after this for a while. No worries. All right. I'm just gonna end it now and see where we are. Okay, so as far as I see, our top values are fun, and followed by respect, and safety. Okay, so now we can sum up for our dating app that's called Something About Us. We value these 3 things. We value fun, we value respect, and we value safety. And this will help the creative team with sort of coming up with the right visual identity kind of reflects these values. All right. So if we move on to the next stage of the workshop, it's the brand personality. So what we do here is we try to imagine our brand was a person, and we're gonna do a little exercise. Let me just, why is this here? Stop moving my stuff. All right. So what we're doing here is we're looking at the scale. So the scale represents different ranges of brand personality. So, for example, we have exclusive and approachable, and I added examples from tech startups that I think you all know. So it will give you a better idea of the different poles. So if we think of our brand, so something about us as being exclusive versus approachable, what we want to do is we want to place our votes somewhere in the scale. So we think it's a bit more exclusive than approachable, because I don't know, it needs their members to be vetted before they're accepted into the community, for example. If you just give me a second, I'm really annoyed by this. Okay. And what we'll do, we'll go through all these, and you're gonna place the sticky notes on the scale with each of them. So again, we have exclusive and approachable. The next one is, for example, playful and serious. So if MailChimp is playful, which has all those funny copies and illustrations, then Sendinblue is like completely serious and like enterprisey. If Docker is a friend with the cute little whale, then AWS is a bit more authoritative. If Trello is kind of simple in terms of ticket management and task management, then Jira is complex because it has all those bunch of features that nobody really knows what they're for. And if Evernote is classic with this kind of look and feel with the fonts and the logo and the product itself, Notion is a bit more innovative, both in their vision and promise, as well as the visual identity. And then we have casual and elegant. So Google is kind of more casual. Apple is really elegant. And in the scale from subtle to loud, like AliExpress is really loud and cluttered, while Etsy is a bit more subtle when it comes to like marketplaces. So I see you're already doing the exercise, so that's great. I'm just going to give you a few more seconds to cast your vote. Feel free to copy the stickies. Oh, you're so creative. You used icons. That's so cute. But who used their own? Is this someone's avatar? Who is this person? Can we call him Bert? He looks like a bird.
It's Ethan. Mm-hmm.
It's Ethan. Okay, sorry, Ethan. I love that you use your face as a voting means of voting. All right, so what the facilitator does in the workshop is they look at the scales and try to find where the stickies are clustered. So when it comes to like exclusive and approachable, it's like all over the place. So what we do when the team members aren't really unanimous about what the personality of the brand is, we usually have a discussion and ask like, okay, why did guests say that that something about us is more exclusive, and then they would explain why they think that is, and then you ask the person that's on the opposite side why they voted for being it more approachable, and then you usually see that maybe it's just different ways of understanding these two like poles, and then the facilitator kind of dots down the final ranges. So let's say, okay, we are more clustered here. And then we go to the next one. Wow, so everybody really agrees that it's a playful brand. So I would put it like here, or like, okay, I'm gonna use this because I like it. So we do it like this, and then we look at the next one, which is friend versus authority. Like the team agrees that it's a friendly brand. So this would reflect both in the logo, the visual identity, the tone of voice, how it communicates throughout all the channels. It's a simple brand, so nobody thinks it's complex. So it's simple to use. Of course, it's lean. It's definitely more innovative than classic. So we're gonna put it somewhere here. And then here again, some say it's a bit more casual, some say it's a bit more elegant. Here we would usually have a discussion if it wasn't like 94 of you, and just try to see why some people think it's casual and some people think it's elegant, and just try to come to kind of like a consensus about what it represents. So I'm just gonna put it here because I think it's a bit more sticky on the right side. And in terms of like subtle and loud, again, the group really agrees that it's more of a subtle brand. So there you go. You have the final you have the final ranges that kind of characterize your brand if it was a person. So this is the personality of our brand. It's a bit more exclusive. It's really playful. It's friendly. It's simple. It's innovative. It's a bit more elegant and subtle. So this is something that you pass along to your creative team as well. So now we're just gonna go one step further because it makes it a lot easier to imagine a brand as a person if we actually see the face of the person. So we're just gonna do another vote, and I'm just gonna ask you to select one image here that you think best visualizes the something about us brand. So I'm just gonna take a look and choose this lady. I mean, there are people of different ages, and I think some kids as well, because we use the same set of images. But if you want to make it a bit more tailored, you can pre-select like people that resemble your persona a bit more. So you get to the details of of course, we have Ethan. Like, where were you, Ethan, before? Because I would have voted for you. All right, so we're done with the voting, and let's see how our brand looks like. All right, so this is our brand as a person. I'm just gonna kind of outline her a bit. So this is not outlining, but okay. So this is really useful again for the creative team because when they're doing like I don't know, mock-ups of the landing page, and if they use any imagery, they can look at this person and kind of see what our brand should look like. All right. Okay, so this was fun. The next exercise is going to be a little less interactive, and thank you for all the sticky notes. So the next step of the workshop is discussing the positioning. So what makes our brand different in comparison to the competition? So this is kind of a group exercise, but I'm just gonna walk you through it because it's really hard to do in a big group. So what you do a little research ahead of the workshop. and you just try to identify your key competitors. So in the space, in our case, it's the dating app space. You can also think of like substitutes for your product as well in like different categories. And then you just kind of discuss in the team which of these competitors are maybe threats or are like relevant competitors, maybe just outline the ones that are most relevant. And then what we do, we have a discussion about, let's say, differentiation criteria. So I'm sure you've all seen this perceptual map. So what we do here, we try to decide what's on the x-axis and what's on the y-axis. So for example, we try to think of attributes that differentiate our brand or the brands in the space in our consumers' mind. So I'm just going to use an example. For example, if we say that we're looking for meaningful relationships versus superficial connections, also known as one-night stands, I guess. And what else could we compare our brands with? So let's say some are for general audience and some are for niche audience. So these are just examples. You can do several of these maps, of course, but just to demonstrate how this is done. So what we would do, we would say, okay, so like we have meaningful relationships here, and we have superficial relationships here, and we have like a general audience here, and we have a niche audience here. And then we would take the competitors that we kind of selected and just put them on the map. I already did it kind of to my best judgment. So for example, Hinge and OkCupid and Match are kind of more focused on like serious relationships, like finding a partner, while Bumble and Tinder and Facebook dating are a bit more like superficial and really you don't have elaborate profiles. You just like kind of swipe based on whether you like or dislike someone. It's a really general audience. So it's basically for everyone of all ages, genders, sexual orientation. And on the other side, for example, we have Her, which is a bit more niche. It's for gay women, and it's again more in the superficial connections quadrant. And then this Ashley Madison, I think it's actually for extramarital affairs. So it's definitely very, very niche and very superficial. So let's say we wanna position our brand. So our brand, let me just copy it over. So we have something about us, and just we wanna place our brand on this map. So let's say we want to be kind of niche because we are targeting a specific, let's say, a specific customer segment, which are a bit more career focused, millennials that have really specific, let's say, dating requirements, and they're looking for more meaningful relationships in the long run. So I would say let's place our brand somewhere here. We have another like competitor in the space, which is Elite Singles. So it's definitely something that we need to look out for. So to watch them a bit, what they're doing, what their strengths and weaknesses are. So kind of this is the exercise that you do with the positioning. I hope it was clear. If there's something else you wanna ask, we can do it in the Q&A section in the end of the workshop. So the last bit, or almost the last bit of the workshop, is discussing the touch points. What we do here, we try to list all the different interaction points between our brand and the customers. So I mean like offline and online. So wherever in the customer journey our brand kind of meets our consumer, we wanna kind of list it. But what's important is that we have a discussion here about what is really crucial to launch our brand. So we don't want to do everything from the start. We just need like a minimum viable brand. So really the core visual assets that we need to start talking to our customers. So I've added a few ideas here. If you want, you can use the remaining stickies to add some additional ones. Let me just log the screen. Okay. And for example, since it's an online it's a dating app, so we'll need to publish it on the App Store. So this is something that's to be considered. So it's one of probably the first touch points that we'll have with our customers. So it will be important to have like the mock-ups, the icon, and everything else to represent our brand there. We're gonna need to update the app UI to reflect the brand. So we're gonna need to apply all the styling in the app UI. We're gonna need some social media assets. So how the posts will look like, the icons, everything else, what the tone will be, how will we communicate. We're probably gonna run some Facebook ads. Maybe worth considering is also like the pitch deck if Amy is looking for an investment. Landing page where we'll present the app itself, email if we're gonna do like confirmation emails once people subscribe, etc. We're probably gonna publish somewhere on like Product Hunt, so that's worth considering if we need like any special brand assets for that. And then in the end, I wrote a few like typical brand ones that we're probably not going to include, but still I think it's worth mentioning. So as a digital product, you probably don't need like business cards to launch your brand. You don't need like office signage to start with. So this is something that's really like we're discussing in the team, and just try to be really pragmatic here. What are the essentials? Branded private jet, okay. Ben and Jerry packaging. So yeah, let's do another vote, I think, and try to find the ones that you guys think would be crucial to launch our Something About Us brand. So touch points, and I'm gonna give you 5 votes, okay. And you can start voting now. And I hope not everyone votes for the branded private jet, because that's going to be expensive. And an early stage startup doesn't have funding for that, unless if we just put a sticker on it. That might work. Okay, so I see you've added a few. Instagram, Hacker News. Wow, that's a good one, yeah. TikTok. See, it shows that I'm a millennial. I never think of TikTok. Instagram, flyers on pubs. Wow, that's a nice one. Once the pubs actually open. But still the private jet. All right. Did most of you vote already? I'm just gonna end it. It doesn't let me end if I don't vote, so I'm just gonna vote. And let's look at the votes. Okay, it's not letting me end, so you have another 20 seconds. Okay, I see you already moved some of the essentials here. So we have social media, we have social media, we have App Store, we have App UI, we have landing page, press release. Yeah, so press release, Facebook ads, and let's say pitch deck and product hunt. So we would kind of discuss this now and just confirm that this is kind of our set of key touch points that we're going to address, that we need for our initial launch. And this will kind of inform what brand assets we need to prepare, which brings me to the next step. So this is kind of the closing part of the workshop. And it kind of translates into a creative brief. So everything that we've been doing today, so this workshop board can actually serve as your brand identity brief and a creative brief. So based on the things that we kind of outlined here, we would write down the key brand assets. So I already made like an assumption before. So we definitely need a logo mark. We need a tagline for the app. We will need the typeface, so like primary, secondary. We will need a color scheme. These are kind of the brand essentials. We'll need some images for the website and the ads and the press release, because it's a human brand, and I think we need like visuals, we need photography, and we will need some social icons as well. So another tip is here before we go into branding. It's really useful if you as a founder or as a team create like a mood board for the creative team, and just like paste some let's say inspiring images of products or brands that you like and that you feel have like similar values to your brand, because this really helps lead the discussion with the creative team. So it's also useful to do a couple of mock-ups. So what we usually do, we have the designer create like a mock-up of the landing page, of how the social media profile would look like, or a few like app renders. So it makes the brand identity a bit more tangible in the actual, let's say, touch point with the customer. Okay, so now that we have the creative brief, it's time to design. So I just wanted to do like a quick overview of the options that you have. So if you're an early stage founder, you probably don't have a brand designer in your team. So what you can do, because you do need someone to translate all this into like a visual brand identity. So one option is to hire a freelancer. So freelance brand designer, you can use one of the platforms like Fiverr. Like I did a little research, and like the ballpark figure would be anything from like 5 to a couple hundred euros. No, sorry, 550 to a couple hundred euros. I mean, it's up to you. Look at the references. I'm sure there's some good designers out there that have experience with brand design for startups. Another thing that you can do if you have a bit more time and budget, this is what we did with d.labs, but again, we're not an early stage startup. So we did like an RFQ, request for proposal, and we went into the process of selecting a branding agency. We like scanned agencies in Ljubljana in the UK. And then we found a partner that we've been working on with for a couple of years, and they're also the authors of those comics that you saw in the beginning of the workshop. So like kind of the ballpark figure for this would be somewhere from 5 to 50K. Again, it depends on the agency you select. And like the third option, I just have to mention, because in the context of this workshop, like why is Sara telling us this? We d.labs, we actually do this process of creating a minimum viable brand with our clients. It's part of our discovery sort of services. So if the people that come, so the founders that work with us and are building ventures with us, they have this included in the whole like discovery service bundle. Okay, so like the main deliverable of this is the brand guide. It's usually like a document that outlines everything when it comes to the brand. So how it's used, all the assets in one place. And I think it's a really important document because it will make sure your brand is delivered consistently by all the people that are communicating on behalf of the brand and in all the touch points. So whether it's marketing or customer support, or if it's your website builders or whoever, they will communicate in the same way and use the same like brand identity. And it also, like, you have one asset and you can just send it to everyone, and it saves you a lot of time rather than having to pitch it to every single person separately. So yeah, just to kind of wrap up. So Ethan is going into space. Yeah, so once you launch your minimum viable brand, like I said, it's not the end. You have to test it. You have to see how the customers respond. You do branding iterations, and you just go into the learning process. You try and you fail and you improve and pivot. So again, I pasted the link to our minimum viable brand template. It's the one that we use today. I mean, this one's a bit more improved, but it has all the same exercises. I just adjusted it a bit for the format of today's workshop. And this brings me to the end of the formal part. So I'll be really happy to check the questions now and try to answer a few. And in the meantime, I'm just gonna ask you a little favor. So it's really important to us to get your feedback and just to get some like actionable insights on how we did. So if you will be so kind to just fill out this survey, you just like click on the link here, and it will open a type form, and you just fill it out. It's anonymous, so you can say shit about me. And I'm just gonna take a few moments and scan the questions while you're filling out the survey. So we have one question. So in the yeah.
Bert wanted to ask the template name that you listed, is that in Miroverse or is that in Miro proper? Where can we find, where were you trying to point us with that?
So it's in Miroverse. So this link here, this brings you to the Miroverse template for the minimum viable brand. So you can use that one.
There was a question on if there's a possibility to do wireframing in Miro. Yes, for low fidelity, there is for sure. I replied with some templates that you can search for. So there is definitely the chance to do wireframing in Miro.
Mm-hmm. So in the brand personality exercise, do we always use the same companies as shown in the workshop today, or do you adapt the list based on the subject? Okay, so like with everything else, we're iterating on the process all the time. So I don't think I've done 2 of these workshops in the completely same format. So first we started with just the sliders and without the companies. And so what we found out when we were doing this exercise was that it was really hard for the participants to kind of see the subtle differences between the two. So for this particular workshop, I tried to come up with the companies, but I think it's a really good idea that if you have like a specific category of the product you're addressing, that you maybe find something in that space. Like I use tech companies, but like if you're doing something for fashion, like fashion brands are really cool to kind of visualize the opposites. So it's completely up to you. You can use the ones that are in the template, or you can add your own. You can also change the polls. So what comes first, the brand statement or the product that you offer? So like in theory or in practice? So like in theory, it would be great to start working on the brand promise as early as possible, even before the product. So in some cases, we actually encourage some of our founders to build a brand before actually building the product, and just launch the promise of the brand before launching the product. So these are like typical validation techniques where you just like when you launch a landing page or a video and you explain the vision of the product to be, and you just try to see if there's any traction with your target audience. So in this case, you would go brand first, but like in a lot of cases, it's product first, and then you just try to fit the brand onto the product. But like I would really encourage everyone to do this as soon as possible. You've seen today, you can do it in 2 hours. It's really easy if you go through all these exercises, and I think it's really valuable for startups. So brand as a person versus proto persona, what is the difference? So brand as a person is just an exercise where you try to identify what your brand would be if it was a person. So a brand is something that comes from the company, so from the founder, and the proto persona is a description of your audience. So maybe there's some alignment in a sense. So the persona that you're addressing, or the audience that you're addressing may aspire to be more similar to the brand, but it's not the same thing. So the brand is what you communicate to the audience, and the proto persona is your audience. Let's take a look at what else we have. What about personal branding? Maybe a consultant, how to manage it. This is an interesting one. I actually did this workshop with my friend Maya. Well, yeah. And the framework actually worked really well for a personal brand as well. So it's tailored for early stage startups, but I think it's applicable to different use cases. Maybe just think of the name a bit more in advance, because it can be hard to sort of come up with any ideas on the workshop itself. What is your... I don't completely understand this one. What is your response to those who think branding is the art department?
Okay. For example, yesterday I was on a call with April Dunford, and positioning is her thing. But when asked about branding, she's like, "Oh yeah, that's the art department. They do colors and fonts." So a lot of people don't really understand what branding is. So what do you say to those people who think that it's the art department?
Well, we just try to explain to them that like the artsy stuff of the brand is just like the tip of the iceberg, and the important stuff is like building everything underneath. So it really has to the art department just needs to translate all the stuff that we discussed today. So the values, the promise, the personality into something visual, into something tangible. But like branding is just not. It's not a logo. It's not an image. It's not a brand guide. It's so much more than that. It's everything beneath the surface. What else can we tackle? How many people should be involved in this type of workshop? So I would recommend that we keep the group small, so under 4 people, because you need to have the people in the room that can actively contribute always when it comes to workshops. So like I said earlier, I think the essential trio would be a facilitator, a founder, and a designer. But you can always invite maybe a stakeholder or 2 if you think they can contribute in any way. For example, if there's someone that has a lot of contact with the customers, it may be useful to have them in the workshop as well. But yeah, let's keep the stakeholders at a minimum for efficiency's sake.
Shall we take 2 more questions and then go to the ending?
Sure. Let me just scan through them. How much marketing research you need? How many people you should interview to gain customer insight? I try to stick to the rule that you interview people until the answers start repeating themselves. Like from my experience, you can do that in as little as like 10 interviews for early stage. That's completely doable. And if you've kind of nailed your customer segment, you're gonna get the right answers. And if you ask the right questions, you're gonna get all the insights that you need in probably like 10 or 20 interviews. If that's not the case, you've probably went too wide when it comes to defining your customer segment, or maybe you're kind of not asking the right questions. So it doesn't have to be a lot, but it's really valuable to do them as early as possible. This is actually the first thing that we do when we start working with a founder. It's just like go customer interviews and then everything else. So are the methods always the same in this type of workshop? Do they get bigger sometimes? Like I really want to emphasize that this is not something that can be universally applied for every business that needs a brand. This is really something that's super lean, and it's super lean, and it's really made for early stage startups. I think it's actually not the best framework for a brand that's a bit more mature, that's been on the market for a while now. It's just something that's cost effective, time effective, and energy effective. It has the right kind of balance of structure and flexibility. So if you're a brand or a business that needs to maybe redefine their brand identity or something more, I think it would make sense to make it a bit bigger, like you said, a bit more elaborate, include more people, a bit more research, and it will probably take a long time and cost a lot of money, but yeah. So I think this was 2 questions. Okay, just one more. So will you be creating this board as a 2.0 version for Miroverse? Yes, I was just thinking that I might. So branding 2.0 is going to be uploaded in the next like few weeks. How are we on time, Yair?
I think, yeah, let's go to the closing. I think we have a lot of more questions, but also we have 6 more minutes and then it's over. So I think we can maybe go to the ending. And people will always be able to directly contact you with additional questions.
I just want to say, because I think this one's important. So anyone can use this template even if you're a facilitator. So no worries. It's on Miroverse, so it's accessible to everyone. It's kind of like our way of giving back to the community. So you're not poaching business. Okay, so I hope you all answered the survey. It would really mean a lot to me. So if you didn't have the time, please do it after the workshop. So so we get the feedback on how you thought the workshop was, and like the format and the facilitation, everything. And just to wrap up again, if you're an idea or seed stage founder, please reach out to us. Even if you just want to like a sounding board about anything that their challenges in your business, just reach out to us. Here's our contact contact form. This is Pete's LinkedIn. He's our guy in sales. He's really nice and he loves to chat to all the founders. Or you can reach out to me as well if you have something really specific to ask about discovery or validation, customer development, or anything. And you can also like follow us on social if you like to see more content about product discovery and or the entire life cycle of a startup. So that's it from my end.
Yes, so then I just wanted to really thank you. Got a lot of great reactions. Sarah, you did a great job. Everybody's really happy, and we had a lot of people staying for the whole whole workshop. Usually you see some people leaving during the workshop, but we had most of the time more than 100 people. So this was really, yeah, thank you for that. It was really awesome. Then for me, final words again, if you didn't apply yet for our starter program, please do so, because we have $1,000 for you to use Miro. And yeah, we feel, of course, that startups are really important. You guys are changing the world. So we want to make sure that you guys are also using Miro when you're growing and scaling. So we have this starter program specifically for you. And also stay tuned for our next events. I can give you already like a sneak peek what it will be. Next event will be with Antler on finding a co-founder. So it will be quite specific, but really interactive, finding a co-founder on around certain topics. And the one in the later future would be with Growth Tribe on personas. So it's really also related to this one. So stay tuned and make sure that you apply for our $1,000 credit. Yeah, so again, thank you, d.labs. It was really fun working together with you. And yeah, we can stay on and just chat a little bit for the people that for the last 3 minutes that are still here. So open up your mic if you want to say something.
Thank you all for being here. I just loved your your collaboration and creative ideas. I just really had a laugh today.